A very warm welcome to the WeiHai Triathlon for 2010. This is the very first event in the ITU Long Distance World Championship Series. And what a venue they have chosen. We're on the Shandong Peninsula, the closest part of China to Korea and Japan. Based on the Yellow Sea, spectacular architecture and a fascinating history that goes all the way back to the Ming Dynasty. Well, the athletes arriving 2-3 days prior to this event to take in the sights and the sounds and sample some of the 300 different foods that are taken out of the local seas. (1398), the birth of the city that now has some 650,000 population, and many of them entering the event today. Well, it's a fantastic swim in store in Half Moon Bay, and the water's not only calm but very warm compared to many of the European races. Tai Chi seen on just about every street corner early morning. The tambor players brought out for special occasions. WeiHai, built originally for military purposes, now very much an industrial city with a tourist feel. 1,000 kilometers of beautiful coastline enjoyed by the holiday makers, and the venue has attracted both local and international competitors for today's race.
I'm happy to visit all over the world come here to race together.
Long distance is the first time, so I'm a little bit nervous, but if I can finish successfully, I feel very proud, so I'm excited. Yeah.
I'm very excited. It's a long distance. It's my first time to try this long distance. I have been prepared for a while. I will be try my best to get a very high score.
Francois Chabot, one of the favourites here today, saying triathlon has given him a fantastic opportunity to travel around the world. He says on the whole we don't get time to look at the sights, but here we've made a special effort to take in everything that WeiHai has to offer. And he says that's a really important part of his racing calendar.
Yeah, that's where I usually don't have any time. I'm really concentrate before the race, and sometimes I try to stay one day longer after race, so I have a bit time. It's very nice to be here today and see all the kind of people and the difference and market, and yeah, I enjoy the moment.
So Caroline Steffen enjoying the occasion out here, of course the long distance world champion, and she lining up alongside all the other athletes looking for a little bit of glory here in China. Well, the water really is fantastically warm at over 20 degrees. In fact, the average air temperature at this time of year 21.2, the average water temperature 21.5. Maybe that's got something to do with all the hot springs that are around in this area. Nervous moments for many of the athletes as they go through the race. Huge distances, 3-kilometer swim, 80 kilometers on the bike, followed by a 20-kilometer run. The hills aren't particularly big, but it's hot, it's going to be fast. Away they go, and it's a running start into Half Moon Bay. Important to find yourself not only a little bit of space, but also get yourself in behind a swimmer who generally goes a fraction quicker than you do, and then slipstream them, hopefully, for the full 3 kilometers. 2 times round the loop of 1.5 Ks, that will make the distance, and the elite athletes already starting to pull away from the main pack. Steady start for many. The long loops make it far more important to make regular checks of the direction that you're travelling in. Too easy to get yourself into a dream world. Xu Xingli is the man out front and really pushing the pace along. Oli Vinegar on his toes, Laura Martineau also there, and it looks as though Radka Vodikova of the Czech Republic, the leading woman of the moment, and she's got herself some good company. That will be a really valuable lead if she can stay with the pace that the leading men are setting. Great swimming from her, and she needs every second she can gain over Caroline Steffen, who's the favourite in the women's field today. Some fairly close company by the boats, but with these calm waters I don't think that's too much of a problem. It's just the fumes that the swimmers will be concerned about. But what a setting, Half Moon Bay at its best. Well, the field well strung out. We've got a group of 4 up front, and then a couple of others who aren't so far off the pace. They could be able to make up a little bit of time as they go through the little sprint that will come up any moment now. Out of the water, round the big red buoy that's been set halfway up the beach, and then back out on the 1500-metre course again. Xu Xingli it is who leads. Now, he has gone wrong. He's missed the red buoy, and he's going to drop from first back into 4th place. No real damage done, but for the local man, you would have expected him to get that right. So important to check the course before you start the race, because once the pulse is going, once you get that fiery mist in your mind, you can make silly mistakes like that. The leading group of 4 are away. Vinegar, Martineau and Vodikova still up there. Francois Chabot approaching the red marker to start his 2nd lap. Now, he's twice finished on the podium of the World Championships over the long distance triathlon, but he took 2009 off with some serious injuries, and he's back and already showing some pretty good form. He was out in Australia, finished 6th in the World Championships this year, so we'll see whether he's got the stamina for this long distance race here in China. The leading group still pushing hard. Xu Xingli now down in 3rd place, allowing Oli Vinegar to set the pace out front. Now, if anyone's going to try and make a break on the swim, they need to go a long, long way out. No drafting on the cycle section of this race, so being in the lead group is somewhat immaterial compared to the Olympic distance races. So they reach the far end of the course. They can think about winding up the swim now. Xu Xingli moving up 1 more place into 2nd. You get the feeling that coming out of the water first is a main priority for the local man, and why not? Be a big occasion for him. He's been waiting all year for this event. It is, of course, remember, the very first event in the ITU Long Distance Triathlon World Championship Series. So a good result here, vitally important. So out of the water for the leaders, and Xingli it is who's going to be the first man back onto the beach into T1. And just needs to stay smooth now. Vinegar also going very, very well. Norwegian setting a good pace. The Danes represented also in today's race. And they'll be expecting great things from Jimmy Jonsson in particular. Well, I hope that was a cool shower. 21.5 degrees is very warm water to be swimming in. There is Vodikova, the Czech triathlete, doing exceptionally well this year. Had a busy 2010, competing on both the World Series and the European Cup as well. She's 26. Chabot, some way behind the leaders, but still very much in touch as far as his chances of getting a victory here today. He's a strong cyclist, and he'll be looking out for Jimmy Jonsson, who's even slower coming out of the water. Beautiful transition area. The event brilliantly organised. I think all the athletes have been impressed, not only by the race organisation, but by the tours that have been laid on and the opportunity they've had to look around the city of WeiHai. Radka Vodikova. Now, she stayed with the men on the swim. Can she do the same on the bike ride? I think it's highly unlikely, but she's not had a bad season. Top 30 in the World Series. Looks as though she's got herself about a minute's lead over Caroline Steffen, who is the second woman out of the water, and there she is. Now, Steffen is a good duathlete, very good cyclist as well. This is where she'll be hoping to take advantage. Farlow of Australia, there's Jonsson of Denmark and Chabot of France, three of the hot favourites, all in T1 together. What a fascinating situation we have now at the start of the bike ride. 80 kilometres to be covered, no drafting permitted, so it's all down to strength of both body and mind. Xingli, the quickest swim time, 38.44, excellent performance from him. Vinegar in second, Aaron Farlow, the Australian, recently successful in Canberra, he's going well. Vodikova of the Czech Republic leading the women out of the water. 1 minute, 4 second advantage over Caroline Steffen. She's going to need every fraction of a second of that if she's going to hold off the Swiss triathlete. The bike course, 2 loops of 40 kilometres. They've got 2 significant climbs on the route. And they come halfway through the course. The first climb at around 10.2 kilometres. In the men's event, looks already as though it's turning into a battle between Francois Chabot in the yellow. Aaron Farlow also going well for Australia, number 5. And there is Chabot out front. Jimmy Jonsson was the man in white in 3rd place at the moment. Those 3 just look to be settling in. No one's pushing the pace too hard in the early stages. Xingli has got a jump start on the favourites, having come out of the water in 1st position and already overtaken by Francois Chabot. Chabot with a great history in long distance races, as I mentioned, already medalled twice in the World Championships. He's never won the World Championship long distance race, but he's got a silver and a bronze to his name. And after recovering from last year's injuries, he looks to be on pretty good form. And having raced in Australia, he'll be used to that. Jimmy Jonsson, well, there's that little bit of gamesmanship. Certainly got a faster set of wheels on his bike. High quality equipment and the profiled helmet that may give him an extra few seconds over the 80-kilometre distance. But he knows as well as anyone that every second counts in this sort of a game. Caroline Steffen looking very smooth on her bike. Remember, she came out of the water in 2nd place. 9:06 for the Ironman in Frankfurt this year. She won that event, so we'll be fairly confident that she can take victory here in WeiHai. Really smooth turnover, stiff carbon bike being used today, and on the smooth roads of the Shandong Peninsula, I don't think she's going to find it too uncomfortable a ride as she works her way around the course. The legs of Vodikova already looking to be in some discomfort. Maybe that's just mental at this stage. She knows there's a lot of hard work still to be done. Refreshing sights for the athletes as they cruise their way around this 40-kilometre loop. Xu Xingli, the local man, with still in a good position, but being caught quickly by Frederick Cronenberg. And it won't be long before he is out of sight. There's Aaron Farlow from Australia. We'll be hoping for a podium finish today. Whether he can match Francois Chabot and Jimmy Jonsson, the 2 men up front. That's Jonsson in 2nd place, not trying anything special at the moment. Chabot with a healthy cadence as he works his way through the city. Jonsson, part of a pretty strong Danish team at the moment. He's one man who does like to travel. He certainly won't be unaccustomed to the conditions that he's got here in China. That's always a big issue if you're not used to the heat or the humidity. Farlow now 28, 6 years a pro on the circuit, and had a pretty entertaining journey getting here through Hong Kong and Beijing, and what he described as an interesting night in Beijing prior to arriving in WeiHai. Farlow turning the legs over nicely, but he's some way behind the leading two. Needs to gain 500-600 metres if he's going to get a visual contact with the two leaders. That would be important as far as his race goes. Long straights which facilitate that. Now back with the leading woman, Caroline Steffen, on one of the steeper sections of the course. Part of Team TBB along with Jodie Swallow of Great Britain, and she certainly made advances since she joined that team, and will be hoping to notch up victory here today. Already overtaken Vodikova of the Czech Republic. That didn't take too long, and Vodikova now must concentrate on consolidating second position. I think she'll know she's not going to gain too much time on Steffen on the bike ride, and I guess her only chance of beating Steffen in the long run is if the Swiss triathlete pushes too hard on the bike and has nothing left for the 20-kilometre run at the end of the day. Steffen, who does much of her training in Australia, will be used to the heat. Now, Francois Chabot hasn't moved from this position for the last 20 minutes, just keeping the same cadence, good solid position, very efficient riding. But Jimmy Jonsson of Denmark is doing exactly the same. Good pair of quads, or set of quads, that he's got on his legs at the moment. Useful on the bike. May well slow him down just a fraction on the run. Well, the two leaders side by side as they come into the transition. It's been a good effort from Chabot, overtaken at the halfway stage, but he's managed to hold on off the bikes at the right stage of the course into T2, and speed all important here, just to make sure you don't lose time. You're not going to win the race here, but you can certainly lose it if it takes you 30-45 seconds to get the running equipment ready. No such mistake from Chabot. He's got himself away and has the lead again. Jimmy Jonsson looking strong, shortened stride as expected after 80 kilometres of cycling, but he'll soon get into the flow. But the running course, the one steep hill comes after around 400 metres, so you've got to make sure you've loosened up the legs before you get to the steep climb. Aaron Farlow, the Australian, he'll certainly be happy to still be in third position. He's had a good bike ride. He's lost a couple of minutes on the leaders. Some 4 minutes down now as he sets out on the final stage. There's confirmation of the times after the bike ride. 2:34.06. Jimmy Jonsson's time for Denmark. Just a second between him and second place. And then, as I mentioned, Farlow some 4 minutes behind. In running terms, he's around 1,100 metres behind the leaders. And it's going to take a catastrophic breakdown from one of the leading two for Farlow to move up a place. In the women's race, Caroline Steffen took the lead early on, held it all the way through. Good, solid performance from her. And now all she's got to do is keep the rhythm going for 20 kilometres of running. Easier said than done. Has she saved something? Has she drunk enough? Has she eaten enough? We'll find out soon enough. I think that smile might be an indication that she's feeling very good indeed. So Steffen 2:42.14, Vodikova 12 minutes behind. She was losing 10 seconds every kilometre right the way throughout that cycle ride, and some 10% slower. She's got a lot of work to do if she wants to win here today. So Jimmy Jonsson still in second place despite the fact he's wearing number 1, and in third place is Farlow of Australia. He still looks fairly comfortable, a little bit of spring in his stride. And who knows, he might be able to close down some of that 4 minutes. Caroline Steffen fully focused on the job in hand the world long distance champion. She won't be fazed by the distances that they've set here in China. Fredrik Kroneberg, now he's running well and he's definitely gaining time on third place, and that's Erin Farlow, so the Australian needs to watch out. Vodikova of the Czech Republic is gaining nothing whatsoever on Caroline Steffen. In fact, she's still going backwards, having lost 12 minutes on the 80-kilometre bike ride. The men's leader, Francois Chabot, so much success in the French colours. Today, he leads the way, and in fact, he's opened up the lead over Jimmy Jonsson of Denmark, just going through the drink stop at 10 kilometres, another 10k to go. That is going to be a fascinating battle between those two. Chabot, how does he look to you? The grimace on your face certainly wouldn't imply that he's feeling that comfortable. Steffen, on the other hand, looks totally relaxed, and I think she'll know that she's got this one in the bag. It's more like a training run for Caroline Steffen. The world champion has maintained the form that won her that title, and she should, without incident, claim the victory here in WeiHai. Beautifully steady running style, very efficient indeed, and the legs still with that crucial spring in the step. Chabot's grimace gets a little more intense, and he's opened up the front of the vest just to keep the body temperature at something manageable. But look who he's got for company. As soon as the going gets tough, it's Jimmy Jonsson that proved he's up to the task. And on the first climb after the transition, he's caught Chabot, and he's just got a few words of encouragement for the Frenchman. That is going to destroy Chabot unless he's made of something really extraordinary. So Denmark now leading France, and we still have Australia in third place with Erin Farlow, but he is being chased down by Kroneberg of Switzerland. An opportunity for Jonsson to see how much ground he's opened up over Francois Chabot, and I think he'll be pretty happy with the work he's put in over the last 5 minutes or so. Things looking good for the Dane. Well, the school kids are out in big numbers, and they'll no doubt have been impressed what they've seen from the leading women. Caroline Steffen, solid throughout. Came out of the water in second place, but it really wasn't very long on the bike before she had the lead, took it away from Vodikova. In the men's race, it's been a sublime performance from Jimmy Jonsson. A good swim. He cycled hard, but couldn't shake off the Frenchman, Francois Chabot. And he found himself 150 metres behind at the halfway stage of the final discipline. But he's got the strength, he had the stamina, he paced this race to perfection, and he takes the win in WeiHai. Superb stuff from him. He wins the first of the ITU's World Championship Series over the long distance triathlons, and that is just what he came to China for. Great effort, and another little feather in his cap. Chabot, well, he had that mental battle to fight when Jonsson came past. There was really no physical response. He didn't accelerate as the Dane came past him. Maybe the injuries from 2009 starting to catch up with him after a superb performance out in Australia. Second place, though, you can't take anything away from him. It's been a fine effort. Third place to Erin Farlow of Australia. He still looks to have a bit of running in his legs, but he's lost 2 minutes over the last 20 kilometres to the two leaders and finds himself 6.5 minutes behind. But he does hold off Fredrik Kroneberg of Switzerland, who finishes 7 minutes off the pace of Jimmy Jonsson. In the women's, Caroline Steffen, superb. What a brilliant performance from her. And no surprise to see her adding the title here in WeiHai to her World Championship title. She beats Vodikova by over 16 minutes, having been just 12 minutes ahead at the start of the run. So Denmark celebrating with Jimmy Jonsson and Steffen of Switzerland. All that training in Australia, getting used to the heat, has paid off once again. Well, it's been a fantastic spectacle for not only the athletes but the spectators as well. A cultural experience for many of the athletes who stick to the European Tour. A painful one for Francois Chabot, but he holds on to second, but he just couldn't find enough to beat Jimmy Johnsen. 3 hours, 49 minutes and 43 seconds, the winning time for Jimmy Johnsen of Denmark. The women's race won by Caroline Steffen, 4:03.40. Two very, very impressive performances.